Welcome back to the show. In the U.S., March is Women's History Month, and joining us now in studio to tell us about an Israeli photographer who paved the way for women in the art space here is culture correspondent Maya Margit. Hi, Maya. How you doing?
Hi. Not bad. You?
Good, good. So we're going to talk about Aliza Auerbach, and you went and did a story about it.
Exactly. I went to the Jerusalem Artist House. This is one of the most famous female photographers in Israel, and she's really well known because she documented history, and it's Women's History Month, so it's actually, yeah, she documented not only women, but many different kinds of women that we would normally not see, working women, famous female philosophers in Israel visiting, many different types of people. So I went to the gallery, I saw the exhibition, and take a look.
Pioneers, immigrants, and Holocaust survivors. At the Artist House in Jerusalem, a fascinating look at one of Israel's most famous artists. From Stone to Sea is an exhibition which follows in the footsteps of Aliza Auerbach. Born in the northern city of Haifa in 1940, Auerbach taught herself professional photography when she was in her 30s. For nearly 5 decades, she captured Israeli history and culture.
In the beginning of the 70s, she started to document Jerusalem for the beginning. She actually worked on 3 main projects. One is the pioneers. She went to the Jezreel Valley and documented the pioneers of the beginning of Israel.
After the pioneers, Auerbach turned her attention to her next major project, the immigration of the Jewish people to the land of Israel, specifically from the former Soviet Union and Ethiopia.
In 1992, she flew to Russia, Moscow, and also to Addis Ababa to document the immigration, the new immigration to Israel.
Aside from documenting historic moments in Israeli society, it was Auerbach's powerful portraits that captured the art world's attention. In her third important series, Survivors, she focused on people she believed the state had forgotten.
In the beginning of the 2000s, she documented Holocaust survivors. She felt that no one documented the Holocaust survivor. And she's done it, and most of them are survivors that lived in Jerusalem.
At the end of her life, Auerbach's photography became more and more abstract. In many ways, her life had come full circle. She returned to Haifa, right off the Mediterranean coast. Here, in her final days, she photographed the sea and light as it hit the waves. Her images and her art, always celebrating the breadth of human experience.
Such a talent, Maya. So was she really the first female documentary photographer?
She was definitely one of the first. I'm not sure I can say with certainty that she was the first, but she taught herself professional photography, which is quite interesting. And she worked for many different international publications, including the New York Times. Her art traveled all across the world, and she was one of the first women in Israel to do this kind of documentary photography, which is really quite important. Documentary photography is incredibly important in the world of journalism, in general, in culture and society. It helps mobilize people for social issues. So I think it's a very important role that she took on in the 70s and 80s.
And tell us about this at Jerusalem Artist House, where the gallery is being featured.
Sure. So they basically have profiles of different artists. This month, they're actually doing 3 different female artists because of International Women's Day and Women's History Month. So they feature different artists, and they show a series from their works, basically.
Really, really nice stuff. Maya, thanks so much for joining us for this. And